In this short video, we observe the capabilities and functions of ClearBox Control Center, the main application to configure the ClearBox RADIUS Server. The left bar contains icons to access the main 7 sections of the tool. When some sections are active, you may see toolbar buttons specific to this section. The first small welcome page displays your product version and lets you check for available updates. The Service Control tab allows you to start and stop the server. It runs in the background as a system service, so you may use Windows's Services tool for the same. Besides, you may activate the Service Monitor, which tracks ClearBox server health and notifies you when it is poor. There's also a shortcut to quickly open the folder containing the server logs. They may help you find any problems with the server's operations. Configure the server is the primary section you may start with. It lets you create or change the objects that ClearBox uses. Not all of them are necessary to change. It depends on your requirements. We will cover each of them briefly. Radius Clients section is mandatory for editing. These are routers, access points, and other remote objects that send requests to ClearBox. They all should be registered here, or otherwise all their requests are rejected. Realms are the core of the server configuration, and most likely you have to edit them. These are profiles that allow ClearBox to handle requests differently, depending on the request sender or a request contents. Each realm controls how to authenticate users, assign attributes to them, and store their accounting data. There's one default realm named Def. Each realm is configured on 5 pages: realm rules, authentication, authorization, accounting, packet logging, and 2-factor authentication. There's a separate video describing how to configure them. The link is in the description below. The following are optional objects. SQL data sources list all connections to all used databases. They are not always necessary. LDAP servers list connections to LDAP servers, such as Microsoft Active Directory, if ClearBox uses them for authentication. State servers are the configuration around database tables to track concurrent users, so you may limit the number of connections a user may make. Meta configuration. It lets you store the objects you see now, such as realms and radius clients, in a relational database, so you can automate your setup and manage objects programmatically rather than using your mouse. TLS settings are used when wireless connections are authenticated. Web server settings are useful when ClearBox should issue disconnect radius requests. ClearBox lets you keep all users to authenticate in its own private database. If this is reasonable for you, Manage User Accounts is a set of tools to add or delete users, put them into groups, and configure how they are authorized. In all other cases, like using Microsoft Active Directory as an authentication backend, this section may be ignored. There's a separate video describing how to use this section. The link is in the description below. Server Statistic Panel displays the number of processed packets as a summary or per client. The Server Settings panel is different from Configure the Server covered above. It manages low-level settings like paths to log files or network ports. Finally, Extra Tools is the shortcut to run external tools, like a testing radius client or a wizard to generate SSL certificates. Now we'll give you a little example of how to start working with all these panels. We will add a router's IP address as a radius client, add a new user, and start the server. We start with the Configure the Server panel. Right-click the Radius Clients node in the Objects tree and select Add New. Then give a name to this client, which can be any string, and press Enter. Then set its IP address and the secret shared by this client with ClearBox Server. Then click Apply Changes to tell the server that you are done with editing the client and it can be added to its configuration. You will see this button on many pages, and it works the same way there. When all changes are done, you may click the Save button on the toolbar at the top of the window. This finalizes the editing and writes the entire configuration to an external XML file. ClearBox tracks the changes to its configuration file, and it will reload its configuration in about 20 seconds. Anyway, we may restart the server manually to be sure that all changes take effect. In order to do that, we open the Service Control panel and click Restart or Start, depending on the server state. And finally, we demonstrate how to add a new user to ClearBox's internal database, if you opt to use it. ClearBox uses it for authentication by default until you change it at the Realm's authentication page. There's no need to wait or restart the server after adding users, as their data is written to the database directly and is available to the server immediately. That's all for this introduction video. Please watch our other videos or contact our support team by email.